8:53 right now, and the crackdown on illegal smoke shops continues. Mayor Eric Adams and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg announced a joint effort last week to prevent stores without a license from selling cannabis or face eviction.
Yeah, there's an estimated 1,400 smoke shops operating illegally across the 5 boroughs. Now, these smoke shops have also become a target for thieves. Joining us this morning is New York City Sheriff Miranda, who is leading the enforcement efforts and is here to give us an update on how it's going so far. So, Sheriff, good to see you this morning in person.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is a big topic, and we were talking about the legal weed dispensaries that have opened, 3 of them in Manhattan alone, but 1,400 of these illegal ones, right? And I was talking about this the other day with the Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine about where do they all come from? Because it didn't happen overnight. So how did we get to where there's 1,400 of them?
I think they took advantage of the time delay between the law passing and legalization and enforcement. And so any store, and most stores, regular grocery stores, are now selling illegal, unlicensed product, both. So enforcement it took New York City by surprise, the way it came up. And the fact that it's in every single neighborhood, I think all parents have the same concern, all families have the same concerns that we're seeing. We see it every day. We know that it's no longer an adult business. We're also facing the fact that they're catering to children now. They're packaging and copying children's products. So these are the dangers that we're seeing every day, and that's what required the new enforcement. It's a multi-agency approach towards solving the problem.
And what is it, about 400 of these illegal cannabis shops were sent the letters that they were going to be forced to evict, right, if they continue to stay open. So how many more do you think are out there?
Well, this is just in Manhattan. The Manhattan District Attorney took an initiative to initiate the process of notifying the owners of the business and the landlord that they have obligations here.
I'm sorry, will you go beyond Manhattan? Are you going to be sending the same kind of letters to the other boroughs?
Department of Finance and the Sheriff's Office also issues letters to the landlords of the locations, notifying them that they have an illegal business being engaged in their location. They should move them out, right? Take appropriate action right now. I think that's the next step in the process.
Okay, so walk me through that, right? Because fines didn't work to get those folks to stop selling the product. So now they get this letter. Who's enforcing the actual eviction, and then what happens after that?
Well, the eviction will go through the normal process. We're hoping that initiates the owners or the landlords to give the businesses notice that they have to leave. There's always a clause in most of the leases saying that you're not supposed to engage in illegal or immoral
Yeah, but the landlords have a bottom line, right? They need the money to keep their business, to keep their own building operating. So they're not. Who's making sure they're actually evicting their tenants?
Yeah. So if they don't take action, they have to notify. Like in this case, it's the Manhattan District Attorney. They will notify the Manhattan District Attorney that they started the appropriate action. If they fail to take the appropriate action, then the Manhattan District Attorney has the ability to step in and become the processor of that process.
So just recently, the NYPD released a video of that violent smoke shop robbery in Gravesend, Brooklyn. As part of the enforcement for legal cannabis sales, does the sheriff's office actually patrol these neighborhoods to determine who is actually selling what?
So we don't do patrol. That falls in the police department. They handle the crime and the criminality that's associated with the smoke shops. We do the inspections to make sure that they're compliant with the law, that they have all the appropriate licenses, and that the products that they're actually selling are authorized and legal. So we're not just talking about cannabis. We're also talking about illegal vapes. We're talking about cigarettes, untaxed cigarettes. All these things are supposed to be having a tax base that's supposed to support social programs in the city, and the city is missing out on that kind of additional support that they're supposed to be getting right now.
So what happens when you go into one, right, that has that illegal product? Because we had Gail Brewer on, city councilwoman, who said she went in, there was a raid, product was taken. The next day, the shops were back open. So what do you do when you go into a shop and you see that they're selling illegal product?
We go into the shop, we seize all the illegal product that they have. We issue summonses and notices of violation. If it becomes to a felony, then we make the arrest as the law requires. Then we take the product, take the appropriate action. The store most likely will open back up in a couple of hours. We go back and re-inspect the locations. We're doing some surveillance on locations. So investigations are not just what people see in the street and the seizures. Our investigations are ongoing, so there's different process and next steps to get suppliers, to see where the product is coming in from, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And these mostly come from what, surprise inspections?
Yeah, there are random inspections that are done. We are currently focusing on those locations that are open by schools and houses of worship, the ones that receive the most community complaints. I think everybody's receiving complaints at this point. Again, the mayor's approach was the right approach. He says it's not one agency's approach. Yeah. It is a problem for the city of New York. That means every city agency that has some input should be participating in the task force, which they are. We also go out with the buildings department and the fire department on occasion. So they do additional inspections at these locations to make sure they're compliant with the law.
How difficult is it for you, right? Because like you just said, you go in, you rate all this stuff, and then they could open up in a few hours, and so it's just a hamster wheel of the same thing happening over and over again, taking away resources and time and energy from your department as well. I mean, coming in this morning, 42nd and 9th Avenue, big weed leaf in the window of a shop. They're not hiding it. It's in plain sight.
Yeah, again, it's part of what we do. It's part of the responsibilities of our office and our deputies. So it's something. It's not a frustration thing. It's something that we need to go out and you do what you're supposed to do according to the law. It is the right approach. It is something that is absolutely necessary. The public health concerns here are very serious.
Yeah.
These are unregulated products. So even the people who want to participate in the legal market are subject to being sick right now. And you take that along with the packaging toward the children right now. I said there's no justification for what's going on now. So we need to make sure that we're responding appropriately.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the community, especially parents that see these shops going open, are worried that long-term enforcement is unrealistic. What would you say to those folks?
Consistent enforcement is what's necessary to cause compliance to the law. That's what we're looking for right now. And eventually, like I said, some of these locations we leave there, they end up with $50,000 or more in fines. So it has an impact. They're going to feel that pinch, and they're also going to feel the more broader approach that we're taking with the landlords and other enforcement agencies that are coming in at the same time. Imagine we're going in now with 4 or 5 different agencies, and we're doing full inspections of the location. So whatever violations are visible, they're now being served those violations. It's a method to force compliance, or to say that if you're not going to comply with the legal law, then get out of the business, because we're going to come back every day of the week as long as it takes to have an impact there.
You said that piqued my interest, which was you're trying to not only stop the actual product from being in New York City, but stopping the flow of it. Where are you seeing it coming from the most?
But then again, those are ongoing investigations that we're engaged in right now. We're also going to be reviewing their taxes and things like that, right, to make sure. The whole part of the legal program was that there's enough funding to come back to the social programs for the city. They're supposed to support the city. So if they're going to engage in the illegal activity, the city is losing out on those social benefits that they're supposed to be receiving. So that's the other part of this.
The tax dollars.
The tax dollars.
Yeah.
The tax dollars have to go to a host of programs that support our communities. And so when we say that this is okay, then we're saying that it's okay to defund and not have enough money for the social programs for our kids and for our families. So we have to have the approach of having enforcement.
Okay, so crystal ball, magic moment here. End of the year of 2023, how many are still open?
I think that you're going to find is there's going to be a consistent market of people who want to operate outside the law, even as the legal shops open up. And as they do, we have to continue to be vigilant. For new shops and new people, there's always going to be a new approach to try to do something. So you can't sleep on this process and say that it's over. I don't think this is going to be ever over.
Right.
It's just going to be something that's going to become part of consistent enforcement. We do inspections on a regular basis. The Sheriff's Office serves over 9,000 orders of protections and emergency search warrants, as well as now doing this type of inspections on the stores. So we have an obligation to do those inspections anyway. So now we're just going to expand what we're looking for when we go in. We went from cigarettes to the vapes and now the marijuana into any other illegal products that they have.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you walk in there and they may have weapons or they may have other narcotics in locations. And we'll seize those and make the appropriate arrest when necessary.
It'll be evolving enforcement.
Yes,
Yeah,
but again, it's the community is very important to this process, right? Because they're the ones who keep us informed and make the complaints about what's going on. So when they see something new, please make sure they talk about it. If you see it at your schools or your houses of worship, please make sure we know about it so we can take immediate action to address their concerns.
All right, Sheriff Anthony Miranda, thanks so much for coming in and speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure.